ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। परमानन्दमाधवम्। हरि ओम नमस्कारम। ध्यानम। ओम मौन व्याख्या प्रकटित परब्रह्म तत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्ते वसदृषिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपं स्वात्मारामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीढे वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्नसंशयाः निधये सर्वविद्यानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। If there is one doubt, what is the source of I? There is no outside sentient entity or mind or even the consciousness that is the source of I. Correct. How can consciousness be the source when it itself is the I? So when I say I know, it is the consciousness being self-aware saying I know. Consciousness is the knowing principle. I is the knowing principle. Hence, I is equal to consciousness, equal to knowing. Perfect. The point is, who is this I? Who is this I? The whole puzzle will be resolved when we realize who this I is. विचार करना पड़ेगा. So inquiry is to be conducted as to what the nature of this I really is consciousness, but how do I take it? I shall narrate an interesting incident. This you might have heard already, Vedantic students as you are. You know, a wedding function was taking place. Wedding function. And all arrangements almost over. And the guests, many have arrived and some keep coming. And everybody is busy. And in this, this bride's people, the bridegroom's people, everybody is there. And then one smart guy, he is going around, running around, and ordering everyone, hey, do that, keep that chair outside, do that, keep that door open, do this, ordering about everyone. And of course, he is playing out a role and shouting at somebody, hey, what are you doing? Kya karta hai tum? Hey, karo. Like this, he started, he was ordering about, and everybody held him in high esteem, respect. This man must be some important guy. And everybody obeyed him. Nobody said anything, And the wedding over, the feast, the lunch is on, and most of the people are after eating they are dispersing, wishing and blessing the bride and the bridegroom. And then the bride's father and bridegroom's father, both of them, sat in a corner just to relax. Okay, both were tensed up, naturally. The parents that they are. And this man was still around. And the bridegroom's father asked the bride's father, hey, who is this guy? Who is this fellow? He is doing a lot of things. And bridegroom's father asked this, and bride's father, he was putting his finger on the nose. Hey, that is precisely my question. Who is this guy? Both the fathers, bride's father, bridegroom's father, do not know who this guy is. And both were staring at him. And he took notice, hey, now I am the target. He disappeared in thin air. Right? Interesting, he was an imposter. Vyajaha. An imposter. The moment he spotted and inquiry started about him, he disappears. The I is like that. That is what I am driving at. The ego, the I is like that. You know what onions are, You start peeling it off. Peel off, nothing. So you look into what this I is, I disappears. And in its place, what is there? The pure Atma, the pure consciousness. Okay, I is the consciousness is the source, and this everything is right. But how do we take it? This I identify this my body or mind or intellect, and that is the problem. The I alone will not create any problem, but identification with it and the feeling of the sense of being limited. uh, I am sick, bodily I am sick, or mentally my mood is off. Intellectually, I don't understand this. What is all this? I don't understand this. All this identification, I. What is this I? When you analyze, we have seen that the the body cannot be I. Because body keeps changing, but I is a sort of a permanent fellow. Hmm? This I exists in waking state, in dream state, and also in deep sleep state. These things we have seen. Who is this I? The body cannot be I. The body cannot be I because see, yadyat drishtam tat tat vyatiriktam. Whatever I see, that seen, what is seen is different from me. Is it not true? Whatever is seen is not me. Otherwise, you would have a big problem, is it not? I see a buffalo and I immediately become a buffalo. Huh? So, drashta, the seer, is different from the seen. But here what happens, there is an unholy alliance between the drashta and the drashta. That is, the body is seen, the drashta, the seer, is the I. So identification. This is called an unholy alliance. So that should be busted. That should be destroyed, lock, stock, and barrel completely. And this happens how? Not by wishing it away. You can't wish it away because it is so deeply rooted. And the mind also, the thoughts that flow in the mind is a flow of thoughts we have seen. The thoughts that flow in the mind, I observe. Don't I do that? When anger arises, or when passion arises, when jealousy is there, all these thoughts I am aware of. The thoughts I am not. Meaning the mind I am not. But unfortunately, what happens when I become angry, I identify myself with the thought, the emotion, anger, so much so that I forget everything. Whether I am talking to my dad or mom or my wife or my husband, when I am angry, I forget the relationship, everything. Is it not? Identification. And its consequences. Wrong identification. Now, there are books written nowadays how to control anger. And some people say when the anger comes, you count from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3. Hey, if I would remember to count, then anger won't come. Okay, that might help some people, but the point is how to control anger. First of all, we have to analyze the anger does harm to me, does it not? The one who gets angry is more harmed than the one to whom the anger is directed. Because it goes on, it will be in our mind. The other fellow might have forgotten it. Therefore, How to control anger and emotion? The best thing is not to identify. Separate. Look, the anger is rising in my mind. I am not the anger, but at the in the nick of time, even this I can't remember that. Which is true. It is the emotions like anger, lust, passion, all these things. You know, they say, the acharyas say that you think about the consequences these emotions, these sentiments would create. Viparita phala bhavana. Viparita phala bhavana. The contrary or the undesirable effects that it would create. Think about that. And over a period of time, the moment, not immediately, not instantaneously, there is no instant relief. Like instant coffee and all, no, you can't have instant relief. But when you think about it, that is there also the vichara is required. Okay, this anger has been harming me over and over and over again. This is the Vishwamitra realized that Vishwamitra had a lot of jealousy towards Vasishtha and anger, even passion. And he used to do a lot of tapas. But it took a lot of bitter experiences for him to realize that enough is enough. When he realized that enough is enough, this anger or this passion or this jealousy should not harm me anymore, so I get it. So the viparita bhavana that can go a long way in removing the anger from our minds. Anyway, we are saying the identification is the culprit. So whether it is body or the mind or intellectuals, these are intellectual ideas, ideologies, the great thoughts, the knowledge that I have gathered intellectually. See, if I am a doctor, I identify myself with the intellect with which I have acquired the knowledge of medicine. So I am identified with the intellect. It is not that, one should, I am a doctor, one should not. See, all this for vyavahar purpose, for transaction purposes, these are okay. But intrinsically, innately, inherently, the fact of the matter is that I am neither the body, nor the mind, nor the intellect, but the pure self. The I that we transact with, that the true nature of the I should be realized. Then the identification will not be there. So the saints also may say, see, I am sick. The person who has realized may also say that I am sick. But he doesn't have identification. When he says I am sick, he knows for what it is worth. Yes, my body is sick. That much only he meant. But in our case, I am gone. I don't know whether I will die. This corona has infected me. I get worried, unnecessarily worried. This unnecessary worry can upset our health. That is why most of the diseases, some doctors say, is more psychosomatic than somatic. It has something to do with our psyches, our mind. So that has to be set right. So please understand this I. what value we attach to it. For all transactional purpose, I is okay. But I should be seen, I am everything. I am the real self and not the small little I, which identifies itself with the body, mind, and intellect. Once this identification is understood and it is got rid of, thereafter we may transact. Yes, I am all right. How are you? I am all right. We don't say, how are you? The self is always all right. So this is called spiritual snobbery. Things will have to be understood in the right perspective. A guru taught this Advaita Satya to all the disciples. He gave a lecture. Everything is self. The all-pervading Lord, all-pervading Bhagavan is everywhere. Everything. Everything. Oh. And everybody thought they understood, and the class was over. And the one person was there. He went back home. On the way back home, from the opposite direction, an elephant in ruts, a Madhyana, a crazy elephant was coming, and the mahout, the one who was manning the elephant, he shouted, "Hey, move away, move away, move away." And this fellow, this disciple thought, why move away? Elephant is also God. Elephant is also Paramatman. So why should I move away? So he stood there. He didn't move off. And what did the elephant do? It came and just, with his trunk, he took him and just threw him off. Fortunately, no serious injury, some bruises here and there, that's all. And the next day, with all these bruises, he went to the Guru, and Guru asked him, "Hey, what is this? What happened?" Don't ask what happened, because I took your words for true. I believed you. What did you say? You said, everything is God, and I believed you fully. And this is the consequence. Now all over my body bruises. Oh, the Guru asked, what happened? Tell me what happened. Said, he narrated what exactly happened. And then the Guru told him, my dear boy, okay, elephant coming from the opposite direction, and you believed my words, yes, but did not the Mahout tell you to move away? Yes, he did. That's what I told you. He did. Why didn't you take? He is also God, He is also God. The Mahout is also God. And why didn't you ignore him? This is how the Advaita truth, Advaita Satyam has to be understood in the right perspective. It is not to be understood in a very angular manner, in a blinkered manner. Blinkered manner, you understand? A horse, fixed with the blinkers on either side. It is done because its attention should not be diverted to this side or that side. So our perception should be wide, and against the larger canvas, we should be able to see things. The point driven home is the when we have to transact, we have to live in this world. even after realization of the self, we live in this world. As I said the other day, it is not that all on a sudden there will be some total difference about my attitude to other people. Hey, see, the first and foremost thing is that vision undergoes a change. My perception undergoes a change. Correct. So, our people are there, our children, our wife, our husband, our friends. And we now I should not get attached to them. So I must keep away from them because they are all a threat to my happiness, my joy. No, no, no. The spirituality is purely a private affair. It's purely a private affair. It is the vision that you possess. And in that vision, you feel the fullness yourself within. You don't feel inadequate within yourself. With people around or without people around, you are happy the way you are. Because your happiness is sourced from within, not from outside. Not because of X, Y, or Z, not because of my property or my bank balance, not because of my chair, my position, my authority, no, or the people around, nothing of the sort. So this is an inner vision, an inner perception. Please understand. So the I is to be, in the Vedanta Shastra, even after realization, this I is in operation. How? They say, Dakta Bijavad. Dakta Bija means what? A bija, a seed which is roasted. Means it won't sprout. It won't sprout. But for transactional purposes, it is used. The I. Once you know the truth, the real nature of I, that is the main point, the real nature of the I. But the I that you and I transact with, when I say, I am so and so, etc., that is the reflection. That is only pratibimba, not the bimba. The bimba is the true self. Bimba means the real, the sun, the meridian sun, reflected in 1,000 buckets filled with water. The reflection is one thing, but the real sun is up above in the sky. This is to be understood in this way. And the reflection depends upon, supposing the water is disturbed or muddy water or some colored water, accordingly the reflections will change. But the sun above will not get affected by all these things. Okay. So this is the, I hope, because this point I took little time to explain this, because this has to be very, very clear. All right. Then so we have finished the sloka number 7th. I hope no more any doubt is left. In case you have any doubt, please ask. This we have 11:30 session, and 4:30 also we have study. I think Swamiji has announced it, Advayantaji. 4:30 also we have a session. Suppose if this doesn't get over, even if it gets over, we will finish it anyway, but we will have a question answer session. 4:30 we will have a question answer session. Please send your questions. Now after this No, before 11:30 itself, or before 12:30. No, sorry, before 2 p.m. You can send the questions on WhatsApp. Hmm. So, to the extent possible, uh, within the limited knowledge of mine, I shall try to answer them. The question answer session will be at 4:30. Okay. By 11:30, I hope the slokas will be completed along with the explanations. Okay. So please, if you have got any, you can go through it. If any doubt is there, you can. And as I said yesterday, even after this session is all over, camp is over, if there is any doubt haunting your mind, you are free to ask on WhatsApp. Okay. Because the doubts, if they continue, then what happens? It will go on, creating more and more confusion. And sometimes, is the whole thing true? That can also come. Viruddha bhavanas can come. So the doubts, and not only that, some people they read so many books, and from each book, because they take all the printed matters for as true. So that may also sometimes take you for a ride. In the Viveka Chudamani, it is said, this to get a real guru, a master, and come to the Vedantic path, it is not for everyone to get that. It depends upon our karma phal. So once having gained, our Pujya Gurudev has shown us the paths. He has done everything. Even this, this Dakshinamurti Stotram, the commentary. I hope you have a text commentary by Puja Gurudev. If you don't have, please get one. And very elaborately, it is given. All the explanations, elaborations, everything is done. You can go through it not once, but many times over. So one Vedantic text, if you understand fully, and here that is enough. But that doesn't mean that Sravana should cease stop. No, go on and on and on. Now you have this Laghu Vakyavritti and Dakshinamurti Stotram. The benefit of these two will accrue to you, will come to you more and more and more and more when you continue this Sravana, Manana and Nidhyasana process. These are the Jnana sadhanas. Now the sloka number 8, the 8th sloka. So the whole thing, what we experience as the world, because it is summing up. This is the last sloka. Last sloka means there are two more left, but that is on upasana. They are also equally important. We will come to that. But Dakshinamurti Ashtakam, this is the 8th one, is the last sloka. The Acharya is summing up the whole thing. What is said, in other words, he is summing. I will chant first. Please listen. Vishwam pashyati karya karanataya swaswami sambandhataha shishyacharyataya tathaiva pitruputradyatmana bhedataha swapne jagrati vayesha purusho Maya paribhramitah tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshina Murtaye. Break the words. Vishwam Pashyati Karyakaranataya Swaswami Sambandhatah Shishyacharya Tathaiva Tatha Eva Pitru Putradhyatmana Bhedataha Swapne Jagrati Va Ya Esha Purusha Maya Paribhramitaha Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshina Murtaye. Now I shall chant once again. Please repeat. Pada by pada. Vishwam Pashyati Karyakaranataya Vishwam Pashyati Karyakaranataya Swaswami Sambandhatah Shishyacharya Tathaiva Pitruputradhyatmana Bhedataha Swapne Jagrati Vayesha Purusho Swapne Jagrati Vayesha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshina Murtaye. Now Anvaya. Swapne Jagrati Va Maya Paribhramitaha Yaha Esha Purushaha Karyakaranataya Swaswami Sambandhatah Shishyacharya Tatha Eva Pitru Putradhyatmana Bhedataha Pashyati Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshina Murtaye. Swapne Jagrativa. Whether it is in the dream state or in the waking state. What is our condition? Maya Paribhramitaha. We are tossed around, we are whirled around by the Maya, the delusion. We are deluded. Here, the Jivatma is said, Yaha Esha Purushaha, Yaha Esha Purushaha, this man, then how Karyakaranataya, everywhere we seek and find the cause relationship, the effect cause relationship. And there, Swaswami Sambandhataha. I possess so many things and I am the owner, I am the master, I am the owner of this. Swaswami Sambandhataha. Then, Shishyacharya. There is a Shishya, there is a Guru. These are all relationships we experience in the world. Tatha eva, like that. Pitruputra, the son, father, again, relationship. And who sees all these things? The Jivatma. And who is this Jivatma? It is really none other than Paramatma only. And he who sees through all these games, and unto that Sri Dakshinamurti, my salutations. Okay. So we see the world of plurality, the multiplicity, and everywhere this cause effect is there. When we go into it, X, Y, or Z. So we have this Janma, and do we know where we came from? Do we know where we came from? And then after death, do we know where we go to? We don't know. That also we don't know. So the Purvam we don't know, Aparam also we don't know. The past we don't know, the future also we don't know. And in between we see. And we have taken birth. That is a fact. And without a Purva Janma, there can be the present Janma. Without a cause, there can be effect. Oh. And if there is an effect now, if there is a birth now, there will be a death. And once the death is there, again there will be again birth, rebirth. So, if you look at this, where do we trace the first thing for anything, whether it is egg or chicken, or a seed or the tree? Where is the first seed, the first Janma? See, in your case, in my case, how did the first birth happen? The question can arise, How did the first birth? From the beginningless time, we are being born and then live for some time and then die. Need not necessarily be in the human body, it can be any body. And when you inquire, see, where did it all begin? And after this birth, where it will go, we don't know. And in between these 2 points, the birth and death, there are so many things as shown here. I acquire a few things and I become the master, I become the owner, I become the possessor. Then I become the Shishya, you become the Guru. These things are all happening. One is Guru, another is Shishya. One is son, another is father. One is cause, another is effect. Which is the first cause of so many things? We don't know. We don't know. See, anything, if you look into, I will go mad. Don't go mad. No need to go mad, because understand, when we say this whole creation is due to Maya, that is Advaitins theory. They say this Advaitins theory, it is Maya. It is not a theory. When you realize that it is a fact. But there are theories, You might have heard Parinamavada. What is Parinamavada? Parinamavada means the Brahman has modified into the world. The Brahman, the reality, the absolute truth, has modified into the world. Is it possible? Just think of it. It is not possible. If you say it is possible, that means we have not understood what is Brahman. Brahman is one without a second, the absolute truth, the homogeneous truth, where nothing else exists. So there is no birth, there is no death. Swamiji, this is all going too much. But we see all these things. Yeah, we see. That is where the Maya is coming. So when we have discussed this earlier also, but we have to understand this, think about this again and again and again, because we experience this world, which for us is a reality. And if it is dismissed as Maya, we can't accept it just like that. We can't swallow it. And how it is Maya, it has to be understood. We have given example of a dream. When you dream, you are while dreaming this reality. I experience the real things, not knowing that it's a dream. Similarly, when we experience this world, this is real for us. But then remember, there is another order of reality, the highest order. That is when you are awakened to the truth, when you are awakened to the reality. So the Parinamavada, that Brahman got modified into this world, Brahman has become, because there are 6 systems of philosophy. There is Sankhya, there is Yoga, there is Vaisheshika, Nyaya, then Purva Mimamsa, then Uttara Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa is Vedanta. So these different philosophies, these are called Shat Darsanas, 6 systems of philosophy. So each darsana has its own conclusion. And they were all propounded by rishis. And they had arrived at some stage of truth, some level of truth also. It is not that they bluffed us. No, they had arrived at some level, and they shared it with us. But then there were other rishis who went further and further and further, and they realized, hey, if the absolute Brahman is all pervading, something which is all pervading, there cannot be a second thing other than that. This may go beyond our thinking, but if you think logically, it is true. One without a second means there is no scope for another thing to exist. It is one only. In that one, there cannot be any modification. And if modification in the form of this world, we see that is not parinama, not real evolution, then it is called vivarta. So Vedanta accepts the vivartavada. Vivartavada means superimposition. Just like a snake was superimposed, and you got scared seeing a snake, but actuality was a rope. Like that, a post could be mistaken for a ghost, and it can put fear in you, it can scare you, but the fact of the matter is that it is not a ghost, it's a post only. But at the time of you are seeing the ghost, and ghost exists, it's a reality. This ghost was a superimposition. Superimposed by whom? By the seer. So the whole this is Vedanta needs lot of understanding, lot of manana and dhyana also. Dhyana is for owning up the knowledge. After having understood thoroughly, without leaving any doubt whatsoever in the mind, you are fully convinced that this is the truth. Even afterwards, you will continue to see the world. Okay, intellectual knowledge will be there. So, after studying Vedanta, sometimes the people at home, other people might ask you, say, you have studied all this Vedanta, you have heard all these things, but still you have not changed. Still you have not changed. Why? When some problems come, when some critical situation arises, we lose our balance. Is it not true? We lose our balance. How? Knowledge is there. Hey, everything is Brahman, and I am that. And I cannot be touched by anything, but still there is one fellow called mind, remember. And that mind has to be brought under control. All our sadhanas, all our practices, whether it is a pilgrimage conducted or visiting temples or doing some chantings, recitations, but these are all not to be done mechanically. A pilgrimage should not be a picnic. Visiting the temple, should not be placing a charter of demands before the Lord. Oh Lord, give me this. You say, I have so many demands, number 1, number 2, number 3. And first, what all that I want. And the second list is there, that is what you should not give to my neighbor. That is also there. Understand? So, see, the whole problem is our mind, which is full of likes and dislikes. Raga Dvesha. So, get released from the clutches, from the octopus clutches of this Raga Dvesha, likes and dislikes. We must neutralize all our likes and dislikes. And for this tapas is required. So, intellectual knowledge alone will not do. Intellectual knowledge will give you an understanding, a vision, but if that is to percolate into you, you must do the upasana. That upasana is given in the next 2 slokas, next sloka especially. Anyway, we will be here. I hope this is clear. Vishwam pashyati karyakaranataya swaswami sambandataha shishyacharya tathaiva pitruputradyatmana bhetataha swapne jagradivaya esha purushaha maya paribhramitaha. So, maya paribhramitaha means what? World by tossed about by the maya means we see this diversity, and we not only see, we take them for real. That is the problem. We don't see the Sat Chit Ananda in all that we see. But a saint, a realized soul, sees this Sachidatma, Sachidatma Tattva everywhere in the entire world. So, what happens? His mind is always balanced. We should be able to see, see my Ragadvesha, I don't have Ragadvesha at all. Some people may say, no likes, no dislikes, everyone is same, except that fellow, one fellow is there, accepting that I am okay with everyone. See, as long as the going is good, okay, my mind can be held in balance. But where the going gets tough, only the tough will get going. So you have to toughen yourself. You have to strengthen your mental balance, and that comes by manana and dhyana. Dhyana is this Bhavadvaita Parishilanam, practicing Bhavadvaita. How to practice Bhavadvaita? So, if you have to be released from that Paribhramitva is seeing the world as real. and identifying with this and that, and liking certain things and disliking others. So I am caught in this whirlpool of Maya. So to get released is to understand this truth. Okay. So this Swapne Jagriti Baya Esha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha Tasmai Sri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. So all these relationships in the world, when you inquire into that, that is all Maya Srishti. Oh, is it Maya Srishti? Then I must get rid of that? No. Don't do that immediately, please. Meaning, understand what it is. This has to be understood properly. Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Swapne Jagrati Vayesha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha. Because the Advaitic vision takes place in our head and it percolates into our heart. When this happens, the vision is complete and it should be stabilized. The realization means that intellectual appreciation doesn't amount to realization. Intellectual appreciation. I know that, I know this, I know Vedanta. I have studied all the 18 chapters of the Gita. I have studied this text, that text. I know everything is paper. But when it comes to the brass tacks, so to say, when we face some problem, we should be able to see the situation with a balanced mind. Balancing of the mind comes through getting released from the clutches of Maya. That comes through practice and dhyana. Okay, so Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Sri Dakshinamurti. I salute that Dakshinamurti who is my Guru, who is playing the role of my Guru. I salute him, and he is the one who, really what? He is the one who really sees the truth as it is and tries to show me the same truth, saying Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. So, by the study of Vedanta, what happens is we become stronger and stronger and stronger. It is not that imaginary strength that we acquire. We become innately strong. We understand that we are not the body, we are not the mind. The mind is fickle, and even intellectual ideas can undergo changes. But I am that changeless truth, the absolute truth, Sat Chit Ananda, which is the very basis of everything, the whole phenomena of world. So we are each one an individual. Each one an individual. It's called Vyashti, meaning microcosm. And the Samashti is there, the macrocosm. Samashti, the Lord. Actually, the Lord and I are one and the same. One and the same. In Kerala, there is a temple, Shabarimala, very, very famous temple, everybody. You go to Shabarimala, and there, as you enter after long trekking only, you can reach there. And then in front of the sanctum sanctorum of the temple, it is written Tat Tvam Asi. Tat Tvam Asi. That thou art. The Upanishadic declaration. They say it was that words were inscribed there or fixed there at the instance of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Ji. Because all these pilgrimages, all these sadhanas, all these practices, 41 days vrata, you have to observe to visit Shabarimala. All these things you undergo and reach there, and Bhagavan says, Tat Tvam Asi. That for which you have taken this vrat, you have observed all these austerities, after which you have arrived here. What darshan you want, actually, whose darshan you want? The Lord's darshan, that thou art. Tat Tvam Asi. The beautiful words it is there, Tat Tvam Asi in Sabarimala temple. Point is, all the abhyasa, the practices that we do, spiritual practices, is everything directed towards our gaining nishtha in this knowledge, our getting well established in this knowledge. Okay, rest we will see in the next session, that is at 11:30. Please remember, your doubts and questions can be WhatsApp to 94471 55637. Questions can be WhatsApp, and we shall try to answer them in the last session, that is at 4:30. Okay. Thank you. Hari Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.